This is a show about jewelry, why we wear it, why it matters, how it's made, and what it means. I'm Alex D, and I turn cannabis into gold. I make mind-blowing jewelry in gold, silver, and platinum from cannabis plants here in Canada for stage, screen, for people who want to rock crazy jewelry. I'm the Cannabis Goldsmith. So the Spencerville Fair sterling silver trophy belt buckle I designed to be raffled off at this year's fair, September 11th to 14th, is completed. It's done. I'm trying to make the box for it. And I'm not a box maker. I'm not a jewelry box maker. So I'm trying to fabricate a beautiful box for it. And I'm crossing my fingers that'll work out. If not, the box is less important to me than the piece itself, but I will make it nice so that it will look good in a display case at this year's fair when they raffle it off to raise money for their children's programs. It's a $2,000 belt buckle. It's absolutely stunning. You can see how it was made, how we made it, and what it looks like. And you can follow the whole process from the idea to the finished piece at tribe.ca/170. That's the project page. And it's long. It's like 4,000 words. It's quite a long piece, but it has pictures. You'll be able to see how a high jewelry piece comes together from the design stage to the final product. But anyway, I'm still trying to figure out a box for this thing. And the meeting, the Spencerville Agricultural Association meeting, is next week. So I'm going to bring the buckle to the meeting next week and give it to them and set it free. A lot of times, artists have a hard time doing that, setting their work free, sending it to the client, or selling it even. A lot of times we grow so attached to our work that we don't want to let it go. In this case, I want to let it go because that's the purpose of it, is to let it go. But I've spent a lot of time with this piece. It's a lot of me is in this piece. And you'll find with artists or painters or potters or whatever who do creative work and put so much of themselves into it that sometimes parting with it is difficult. And a lot of artists will actually destroy work before parting with it. I still can't figure that out. Maybe I can a little bit. Maybe I can understand that an artist, the whole exercise of making the piece might be enough to do it for them, But anyway, in this case, this is not only an art piece, but it's a way to raise money for the children's programs in our area in southeastern Ontario that the fair produces. So it has multi-purposes. But also, it was an exercise in creating sterling silver belt buckles that are not like we normally make here at Tribe. Normally, I do incredible design work from botanical plant casts using cannabis plants. And we create precious metal jewelry, belt buckles, pins, rings, bracelets, and things in precious metal from cannabis plants. But this whole buckle thing has got me thinking about buckle design in a new way. I had to go so deep into belt buckles I didn't have to go, but I put myself into the position where I wanted to learn so much about belt buckles, and I really dove in deep. And you can see on the page, on the project page, how deep I went. tribe.ca/170. Go there and you'll get some recommendations as to books about buckle design, the history of buckle design, the cultural significance of big giant belt buckles. There's all this information on that page. And as I was developing it and putting up the page yesterday, I was thinking, I'm gonna do some test buckles aimed at the Calgary Stampede for next year. Now, I don't know how I'm going to do it yet, but generally an overview as I'm going to start thinking about some ideas in my brain for the Calgary Stampede. If I was designing a buckle for it, what would it look like? If I was designing buckles destined for the Alberta customer, how would I consider it, and what kind of designs would I do? Now, in this whole buckle process of designing the Spencerville Fair 170th anniversary sterling silver trophy belt buckle, in that whole process, I learned about all the different symbolism involved in belt buckles and what it means, and how you can add your own, and how you can create different new ways. I want to move the Overton window on belt buckles. I want to move it forward. I mean, belt buckles, I think these kind of trophy belt buckles are stuck in a kind of a traditional, they're mired in tradition, I think. Maybe we need to keep the tradition, keep the essential elements, the essential symbolic elements of a Western buckle, yet move the design forward into the future. Now, this is what I want to try and do. And I want to work on some designs. Perhaps I'm going to try and target at Alberta. Now, there are plenty of people in Alberta who could be customers for our work. First off, we're a Canadian company, and you might have heard how Canadians are buying Canadian products now. We are, because our products are good. They're fabulous, and we should be buying our products. So why in heaven's name would somebody in Alberta have a sterling silver belt buckle made by a U.S. silversmith? Why? That's what I'm asking. So that's the question I'm going to be asking next year when I aim advertising at Alberta for our buckle making, that we can make the most amazing buckles in the country and perhaps the world, and that we're pushing sterling silver belt buckle design to the next level, and that the next level is Canadian, and that Canada, we produce some amazing things in Canada, and the tribe sterling silver and gold products that are designed and produced in Canada are some of those amazing things. Now, anyway, what's happening here in the studio? I'm clearing space. Once the box is fabricated for the buckle and the loop for the Spencerville people, I will bring it up, pass it off to them, and set the buckle on its way, and now that leaves a void in my studio. So I have to start working on other projects, or not. I mean, some people just don't do anything after they finish a big job like this, or a big art piece. They take a break. They sit back, and they regenerate and collect new ideas and stuff. What I usually do is I clear the studio out. Literally, I vacuum it and I sweep it, and I clear space on the desks and stuff, which in the way I work, stuff tends to accumulate on my work surfaces. In my life too. I mean, if you go into my kitchen in my home, there's stuff on the counters. Like, I'm perpetually trying to remove stuff from my counters, to clear the counter space. But that's just who I am as a person. I've grown to accept that. But at least I'm aware of trying to keep the surfaces clear. But when I'm working in the studio, in the workshop, doing designs in plastic or wax or whatever I'm doing, I need clear space, and in order to do the design properly, because I'm working with stuff that, if it's contaminated with other stuff, it's just not good. Like in the studio here in southeastern Ontario, the primary work I do is in plastic and wax, and you don't want to mix that with metal filings or whatever, because the plastic and wax models that I make have to be melted out. They are evaporated out of a plaster that is poured on top of them. And if there's metal filings in that wax, it won't melt out, and it will ruin the casts. So everything has to be scrupulously clean in the design area when I'm working with plastics. I can't keep metal and plastic in the same space. So that's why the metal, the most of the metal work happens in Toronto. Now, the space here is like I've mentioned before, like a skunk works. And then what I do is I clear out the space, clear off the work surfaces in my workshop, and then it's ready to go. I have a small area in the not so small really, but an area in the workspace that I use to shoot photography and video. And I put away everything. All the cameras get put away. The space, the surface again, the surface area gets cleared out from fabrics and backgrounds and stuff, and it's all reset back to zero. And then now I have a clear space for new art ideas. I'm working on designing. I put up that page at tribe.ca yesterday, tribe.ca/170 yesterday. That's done. And now I'm working on a redesign of the whole landing page, the tribe.ca landing page, to feature buckles and to feature design of buckle products. Just for a few months, just I guess going into the fall to see how that is. Now there's all kinds of stuff going on the internet that might make all this work I'm doing on the website meaningless. Like the web has really changed in the last this year. It's changed. But it has been changing. It's really hard for people to find anything online anymore, and the Googles and the other people are not referring people to websites anymore. They're just providing the information about the website to the people who are searching for information. So people aren't even traveling to websites anymore. So that might diminish my traffic. But anyway, I have no control over that, Search engine optimization doesn't work anymore. There were whole industries built up around this. It's kind of like a seedy kind of industry but it's meaningless now because people are searching with AI, and AI is determining what kind of links that people get referred back to, if any is the caveat here. Because the AI companies don't want to refer people out. They want you to stay in the AI window where they want you to live there and not go outside that. So the rest of the world for a while, I think, will be in a bit of servitude towards the AIs as they steal our content, take our content for free. We have to produce content anyway in order to try and sell products or to talk about the things that we talk about. And yet AI is going to mine that for free and then repackage it and resell it. Much like what happened in social media with respect to the web. It's another capitalist. Listen, I sound like Anyway, it's capitalism gone wild again. Like Girls Gone Wild in the 90s. This is capitalism gone wild. Who knows what's going to happen? But that can't stop us artists from producing our art. I'm clearing my space. We're getting ready for the next projects, whatever they are. I have a few on the side burner right now, but nothing significant. Now this is the time for us here to prepare, to get ready for the next job that's going to be coming in. But also to think about next year, which is what I'm doing with the Alberta stuff. I might design a belt buckle. I don't know. I don't even want to think about it yet. Let's just clear the studio space out first, and then let the ideas and the designs emerge from that space. I've learned so much out of this whole project. I've learned how to edit videos with DaVinci Resolve. I mean, I'm not an expert, but I'm getting good at it. I'm getting quicker at it. So I've learned that. And this is something I had to learn. I've learned a bit more about the software that I used to edit photos in the digitization room, which is helping with the other projects that I'm working on. I've managed to create a few short form videos of this buckle. Whether they'll be seen or not, it doesn't matter, really. I hope they're seen. I hope they're circulated by the committee people, to promote sales of the tickets. But whatever. I mean, it's up to them. But at least I produced them. And I've learned so much from doing it. It's just, I understand video better now after this. This whole project has given me a lot. Like, I've given it everything, but it's given me a lot back. And what it's given me back is learning and knowledge and a sense of comfort working with digital tools that I will use for marketing for the products going forward. It's hard being an artist when you have to produce art and also have a space in your brain available for digital stuff, which sometimes is not, which always is in conflict or contrast with organic forms of art like pottery or jewelry design or sculpture, stuff like that. The digital stuff is the opposite of that. And you have to keep some space in your brain if you want to talk about your products or your art to others. And you have to know how to utilize tools to produce short videos or get photographs together or to showcase your work in the best light. Or, I mean, a lot of times artists don't know how to do this. And these are skills that you have to learn. I remember a sculptress, a young woman that I met, I guess, in the 2000s in Toronto at a coffee shop. I just saw in the National Gallery of Canada that she had an exhibit or a show featured on their website. And I met her, decades ago. And I see her work now on display or whatever, and I'm thinking, good for her. This is fantastic. But anyway, I met her at a coffee shop, and I was more in the photography realm back then. And she knew that, I guess. I was the tribe guy. Anyway, she said, "Oh, I'm an artist. Can you photograph? I need good photos of my art, and I don't know how to do that. Can you do that for me?" So I did that, like just some quick photos of her art. This was stuff she wanted. I don't think it was for websites or anything, but it was just to share amongst her friends, or just to capture for her own historical record of her own work. So I went to her studio. I think it was down on Eastern Avenue in one of these warehouse buildings by the Don River. And it was like 1,000 square feet, 16-foot high ceilings, all windows on one side, just the absolute, default artist studio, sunlit, beautiful. And there she was. And she had, I can't even remember what her work was. I think it was fabric or something. And I said, okay, I'll do it, but I want to get a photo of you, a headshot. And that was I think that was my fee for it. I don't know. Anyway, I still have the headshot of her somewhere. And I captured her work, gave her the files, digital files, and she, I guess she used them for whatever purpose. But it was good to see that she had kept at the art. And actually, I'd seen her stuff before. She was doing these huge sculptures with like marigold blossoms and stuff, like live flowers. Really quite impressive. Swapna, her name is. I don't want to pronounce her last name because I will blow it. But somebody who has a name like Swapna, who is an artist, you will find easily if you do searches online. Anyway, I don't even know why I went in that direction. But art, make space for your art, and stuff will emerge. Stuff will come out of it. Now, I've just had a couple of visitors here at the studio. I don't get many, so You know what? I came out here to do art. That's why I came out here. I'm not a hermit or anything, but I came out here to do design. I came out here to get away from the city, from Toronto. I lived in Toronto for too long. It was driving me crazy. The city, in my mind, has fallen. It's in a position where it's spiraling downward, and it's not spiraling upward. So anyway, I moved out here to get away, to simplify, and to focus predominantly on art and less on surviving in the big city. And it's worked. I'm thriving out here. I am thriving out here in the country. It's like a comfortable, I try to describe it to people. It's like a comfortable sweater, an old shirt that you like very much, that you wear. You know, it looks like, it might not look the best, but it just feels, the cotton is so soft, you know. It's been washed like 10 trillion times. It has that nice soft vibe. You know, nobody's going to see you in the shirt anyway, except for you. And you're wearing it, and it feels so good. That's what it's like out here, you know. But anyway, I had a couple of visitors. Two of my closest and oldest friends came out to visit me. One day apart this week, just like coincidentally. And it was great. I got to hear the news from the big smoke, the big city. I got to catch up on their lives, what they're doing, and what's happening to them, and what they're considering, and their futures, and the past and history, and all the things you get when you have a good friend visit that you haven't seen in a year, because I think it's been a year since I've seen either or both of them. So anyway, we had some good talks, and drove around a bit. You know, I showed them the areas, you know, along here that make this place special. But it mostly was about the talking and just the hanging out and discussing stuff. You know, I got the scoop on my friend's parents, how they're doing and all that. Just lovely, just nice to hear this stuff, and nice to see my friends. They're getting older, like me, and each of them is dealing with it slightly differently, I guess. But we're dealing with it as we get older, like we must, you know. There's this saying: "Youth is wasted on the young." And my mother used to say it. And a lot of our discussion was with my friends was about the young and the old and aging and all this kind of stuff, which becomes a topic of conversation as you age. I look at my Facebook feed, and I see, you know, I've got hundreds of friends on Facebook. And I mention I'm there because most of them are spread out around the world. And it's the only way to stay in touch with them these days. In my Facebook feed, mostly the men, but in the women you can see it, their use of filters, you know, photographic filters. But every photo we take now seems to be adjusted automatically by AI programs. Every photo we take with our phones seems to magically seem brighter, or we look better in the photographs. AI is altering our appearance without our permission and just changing the way we look. Sure, it might seem a little better, but now you have a standard you have to keep up with, right? Created by a machine. Anyway, I see men in particular, and the men, they're hitting a certain age in the Facebook demographic, and they're posting pictures of themselves at the gym lifting weights and flexing and all this, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, like what the hell, you know? But these are men who's are feeling that perhaps they have to prove their manhood late in life or whatever. Maybe they feel it's slipping away, or I don't know. I mean, as a guy getting older, you feel the age, you feel the You don't feel your life force draining away or anything, but you have a sense of an overview of your life. And this thing, youth is wasted on the young. Perhaps it should be wisdom is wasted on the old. Man, I wish I had some of the wisdom I have now. I wish I had some of that when I was a kid, and I wouldn't have made so many horrible mistakes in my youth. I made lots of dumb choices in my youth. And had I had the wisdom of an adult, can you imagine? I wouldn't have made those choices. But this is like a time loop. This is like a thing. You can't, this would eliminate how you are today if you changed the way you were in the past. Like, it doesn't, you got to accept it. You got to accept what happens to you, what has happened to you in your life. And this is what growing old is about acceptance. This is what I've understood it to be anyway. It's about accepting that you're growing old. It's about accepting that even though you think you're a young person, and I've met 90-year-olds who still think like they're 18. That's how they see themselves. And I think that's how we see ourselves as young. We think young for the most part, even as we get older, but the body just can't keep up with it anymore. So we had these discussions about aging and stuff and kids. I don't have kids. It's good to have discussions like this. It was nice. It was nice to see my friends, and it was a nice couple of visits. I was happy about that. I enjoyed it. Also, ate like maniac too. I mean, serious eating. Whenever friends come, there's like a lot of eating involved, and it's always good. Anyway, that's it this week. There's nothing really to talk about this week. Just about aging, about clearing space in the studio for new projects, about setting projects free, which the buckle is going to be set free next week. And if you're in the area here, if you're in southeastern Ontario and you're a listener of my podcast in the area, a reader of the Fish Wrapper magazine perhaps, you will want to go to the Spencerville Fair, September 11th to the 14th in Spencerville, Ontario, and buy a $10 raffle ticket for this incredible trophy belt buckle that you could win. You could win for $10, and it's worth $2,000, and so much work went into it. It's absolutely stunning. Anyway, that's the story this week. I'm going to keep on my cleaning. The garden is hitting peak tomatoes. Soon I'm going to have so many tomatoes I won't even know what to do with. The gardening is either full-on vegetables by the bucket or zero vegetables. That's just the way it seems to work with me. So anyway, I'll be eating tomatoes now for the next 2 weeks until I'm sick of them probably. And then I just went through the cucumber phase, and then the butternuts will hit. But this is the beauty of being in the country. You can create fabulous art pieces, great designs, and eat like a god. See you next week. The Cannabis Goldsmith is produced by Tribe Communications, Inc. in the Thousand Islands area of Ontario, Canada. We recorded in our studio in southeastern Ontario along the St. Lawrence River, where we can see America across the river. Subscribe to the Cannabis Goldsmith wherever you get your podcasts. Follow the show and tell your fellow artist friends about it. It's the only artist podcast coming to you right from a studio every Wednesday morning. We'll see you next week on the Cannabis Goldsmith. Oh, if you want to reach me, send me an email, alexd@cannabisgoldsmith.com. Thanks for listening.